Yo, what is up everybody? It's your boy Unknown Facts here, and today we're diving into a topic that's gonna blow your mind. We're talking about the most expensive mistakes of all time, from epic engineering fails to business blunders that'll make you cringe. We've got it all. But before we get into it, make sure you smash that subscribe button and ring the bell so you don't miss out on any of our mind-blowing content. Alright, let's kick things off with a story that everyone knows, the Titanic. This isn't just any ship, it's the ship that has captured imaginations for over a century. From its grand design to its tragic end, the Titanic is a tale of human ambition and hubris. This luxurious ocean liner was supposed to be unsinkable, a floating palace that represented the pinnacle of engineering and luxury. It had everything from opulent dining rooms to lavish suites, and even a swimming pool, which was a big deal back then. But we all know how that turned out. The ship that was deemed unsinkable met its fate on its maiden voyage, sinking into the icy waters of the North Atlantic. This engineering marvel cost an estimated $7.5 million to build back in 1912, a staggering amount at the time. The construction involved thousands of workers and took over 2 years to complete, which in today's money is like over $200 million. Imagine the resources and manpower that went into creating this behemoth of a ship. That's insane. But here's the kicker, when it hit that iceberg and went down, it didn't just take human lives, it took a whole lot of money with it. The collision with the iceberg was catastrophic, leading to the ship sinking in just a few hours. We're talking millions in lost cargo, lawsuits, and the cost of the rescue operation. The financial losses were astronomical, affecting not just the ship's owners but also the families of the victims and the companies that had cargo on board. It's estimated that the total economic impact of the Titanic disaster was over $150 million back then, a sum that had far-reaching consequences for the shipping industry and insurance companies, which would be billions in today's dollars. The financial ripple effect of the disaster was felt for years, influencing maritime laws and safety regulations. Can you imagine the insurance claims on that one? Talk about a bad day at the office for the Titanic's owners. The aftermath was a legal and financial nightmare, with endless claims and lawsuits that took years to resolve. Next up, we're blasting off to space, or at least trying to. This is the story of the Mars Climate Orbiter, a spacecraft that was supposed to study the Martian atmosphere. NASA poured $125 million into building and launching this thing, but there was one tiny, itsy-bitsy problem, a conversion error. See, one team was using metric units while another was using imperial units. You can probably guess what happened next. The spacecraft approached Mars at the wrong angle and ended up getting too close to the planet. It basically disintegrated in the Martian atmosphere. Talk about an expensive typo. This blunder cost taxpayers millions and set back space exploration by years. It's a stark reminder that even the smallest details matter in space travel. From space, we're diving deep into the ocean to talk about the Deepwater Horizon oil spill, one of the worst environmental disasters in history. In 2010, an explosion on the Deepwater Horizon oil rig in the Gulf of Mexico caused a massive oil spill that lasted for months. The environmental damage was catastrophic, killing marine life, polluting beaches, and impacting the livelihoods of countless people. But the cost wasn't just environmental, it was financial too. BP, the company responsible for the spill, has paid out over $65 billion in cleanup costs, settlements, and fines. That's more money than some small countries have. The Deepwater Horizon disaster is a stark reminder of the human and financial costs of neglecting safety and environmental regulations. Chapter 4: Chernobyl, a nuclear meltdown with a price tag in the billions. Now let's talk about a disaster that sent chills down the spines of people worldwide. Chernobyl. In 1986, a reactor at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant in Ukraine exploded, releasing a massive amount of radiation into the atmosphere. The human cost of this disaster was immeasurable, with thousands of people suffering from radiation sickness and long-term health problems. But the economic cost was staggering too. The Soviet Union spent billions of rubles on containment efforts, evacuations, and medical treatment. The total economic impact of the Chernobyl disaster is estimated to be in the hundreds of billions of dollars, making it the most expensive nuclear disaster in history. Chernobyl stands as a chilling reminder of the devastating consequences of nuclear accidents. Chapter 5: AOL-Time Warner merger, when two tech giants collided and lost billions. Alright, let's switch gears from disasters to a business blunder of epic proportions, the AOL-Time Warner merger. This was a deal that had all the makings of a blockbuster success, but ended up being a cautionary tale for the ages. Back in 2000, at the height of the dot-com bubble, these two giants decided to join forces in a deal worth a whopping $164 billion. The idea was to combine AOL's internet expertise with Time Warner's vast media empire to create a digital powerhouse. It was supposed to be a match made in heaven, but it turned into a corporate nightmare. The initial excitement quickly faded as the reality of merging two vastly different corporate cultures set in. The merger was plagued by cultural clashes, accounting scandals, and the dot-com bubble burst. AOL's fast-paced, internet-driven culture clashed with Time Warner's more traditional media-focused approach, leading to internal conflicts and mismanagement. The result? AOL Time Warner lost a staggering $99 billion in value. The financial losses were astronomical, and the company's stock plummeted, leaving investors and employees in shock. It's considered one of the biggest corporate mergers gone wrong in history, a cautionary tale of what happens when two companies with vastly different cultures try to merge in a rapidly changing market. The AOL Time Warner merger serves as a stark reminder that not all that glitters is gold in the world of business. Chapter 6. The Millennium Dome, a very expensive tent. Now let's talk about a building that was supposed to be a symbol of the new millennium but ended up being a massive financial flop, the Millennium Dome in London. This giant tent-like structure was built to house a year-long exhibition celebrating the year 2000. It cost almost $1 billion to build, but it failed to attract the expected number of visitors. The project was plagued by mismanagement, cost overruns, and negative press. In the end, the Millennium Dome was sold off for a fraction of its cost, leaving taxpayers with a hefty bill. It's a reminder that even with the best intentions, big, flashy projects don't always pan out the way we hope. Chapter 7. Remember when we talked about the Mars Climate Orbiter? Well, get ready for another Mars mission gone wrong. In 1999, NASA launched the Mars Polar Lander, a spacecraft designed to study the Martian polar regions. This mission cost $110 million, but just like its predecessor, it was doomed from the start. During its descent to Mars, the lander lost contact with Earth and was never heard from again. It's believed that a software glitch caused the lander to shut down its engines prematurely, leading to a crash landing. It was a major setback for NASA's Mars exploration program and a costly reminder of the challenges of space travel. Chapter 8. The Challenger Explosion, a national tragedy with a lasting impact. In 1986, the world watched in horror as the Space Shuttle Challenger exploded shortly after liftoff, killing all 7 astronauts on board. This tragic event was broadcast live, and millions of people, including schoolchildren who were watching the launch, witnessed the catastrophe unfold in real time. The crew included Krista McAuliffe, a teacher who was set to be the first civilian in space, making the loss even more poignant. The disaster was a national tragedy, and its impact was felt for years to come. The nation mourned the loss of the brave astronauts, and memorial services were held across the country. The Challenger disaster became a symbol of the risks and sacrifices associated with space exploration. The Challenger disaster was caused by a failure of O-rings, seals that were supposed to prevent hot gases from escaping from the solid rocket boosters. These O-rings became brittle in the unusually cold temperatures on the morning of the launch, leading to a catastrophic failure. The failure was attributed to a combination of factors, including cold weather and design flaws. The Rogers Commission, which was formed to investigate the disaster, found that NASA and its contractor, Morton Thiokol, had ignored warnings about the potential risks posed by the cold weather. The cost of the disaster was immeasurable, both in terms of human life and the impact on the U.S. space program. The loss of the Challenger crew was a devastating blow to NASA, and it led to a period of intense reflection and re-evaluation of the space shuttle program. The Challenger disaster grounded the space shuttle fleet for over 2 years, and it led to a complete overhaul of NASA's safety procedures. The tragedy underscored the importance of rigorous safety protocols and the need for constant vigilance in the pursuit of space exploration. The lessons learned from the Challenger disaster continue to influence space missions to this day. Chapter 9. The Vasa Shipwreck, sinking on its maiden voyage. Let's travel back in time to 1628 to talk about the Vasa, a Swedish warship that sank on its maiden voyage. This warship was supposed to be a symbol of Swedish naval power, but it ended up being a national embarrassment. The Vasa was top-heavy and unstable, and it capsized just minutes after setting sail. The ship sank in full view of a crowd of onlookers, and it remained submerged for over 300 years before it was salvaged in 1961. The Vasa shipwreck is a reminder that even the most ambitious projects can fail due to basic engineering flaws. Chapter 10. The Edsel, Ford's billion-dollar blunder. And finally, we're wrapping things up with a car that's become synonymous with failure, the Ford Edsel. In the late 1950s, Ford spent over $400 million developing this car, which was supposed to be the next big thing in the auto industry. But the Edsel was a flop from the start. It was overpriced, had a weird grille that people hated, and was released during a recession. Ford lost millions on the Edsel, and it's considered one of the biggest automotive failures of all time. It's a classic example of how even the biggest companies can misjudge the market and produce a product that nobody wants. And there you have it, the top 10 most expensive mistakes ever made. From sunken ships to spacecrafts lost in the void, these blunders serve as a reminder that even the best-laid plans can go horribly wrong. I hope you enjoyed this wild ride through some of history's biggest and most expensive oopsies. If you did, make sure you hit that like button harder than the Titanic hit that iceberg. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss out on more mind-blowing content just like this. Peace out. Peace.